So I have the night demon himself, Trevor Sternad. I was going to kind of base a lot of this around the theme of horror.
Right on.
So obviously you're a massive fan of horror and things like that. So what would be your perfect on-screen death if you were a horror character?
Ooh, if I would die?
Yeah.
Oh man, damn. Maybe I'll go in like a vat of acid. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. I don't know why, but that seems grisly. You know, lots of foam, melt into foam.
Melted into foam. That's a future song title idea.
Yeah. Melted into foam. Human hummus.
Oh man, if that doesn't make the cut on the next one. So, what about some of your favorite horror movie directors? Who are they?
Man. Fulci. I like lots of the old shit. Stephen King. Clive Barker.
Okay.
You know. I like Jordan Peele's movies. I think that they're different, exciting. Okay. You know. Yeah, I think that he's like for me, like something to be excited about. Where I don't get that excited about new horror that much. You know what I mean? I also really liked Hereditary. That scared me. Or a few things do.
So, in what way do you think horror has kind of like assimilated its way into death metal? Do you think it's been there from the word go?
I do. I think it's been there from the word go, and you know, it's always been hand in hand. I think it has the same appeal, the same curb appeal as horror. You know, you're curious about it. It's like a car crash that you can't turn away from in that way. You know, and I think that everybody has a certain amount of like a morbid curiosity. You know what I mean? I think it's completely natural, and I think it's a perfectly healthy outlet for people to, you know, it's a good way to blow off some steam. Death metal, aggressive music, you know, it's been all those scientifically proven things were going around that, you know, telling people what I already knew, you know. It led me in the same way, you know what I mean? I saw the imagery and was really curious about it, and but yeah, I feel like the rest of the world is kind of catching up too, and I feel like horror has become so mainstream. You know what I mean? You have Walking Dead as like one of the biggest shows in the world. You know what I'm saying? And when I was a kid, that's like something I would have dreamt about. You know what I mean? And you know, I think it kind of all just goes hand in hand with the world going down the shithole. You know? So, you know, I feel like I always talk about this, but I think death metal was more potent before the rise of the internet, you know what I mean? Like where you've seen people blown up by the time you're 7, you know, you've seen shit porn by the time you're 9. Yeah. You know, it's a different climate than it was, you know what I mean? So the kind of contraband aspect of it that made it so appealing to me, I think is somewhat lost probably. Okay. You know, that's my assumption.
Do you think that even though that kind of contraband element's lost, people kind of go even more extreme now?
Yeah, there's definitely been that race, you know what I mean? Like I kind of started with Cannibal Corpse, I believe, you know, just having those 3-minute kind of horror tale songs obviously influenced what I do with Black Dahlia a lot, but I think that Tomb of the Mutilated was the bar, you know, the original bar in 1991 or whatever, you know. There's so many songs of eating vaginas, and not in the nice way. And I just think since then, you know, there's been a certain corner of brutal death metal especially that's been just going as heinous as possible, you know what I mean? And
obviously, it's an odd year. It's 2019. Does that mean we're going to get a new Black Dahlia Murder album?
Well, there's definitely one in the works. We're writing right now. The music is about done.
Okay.
We will start tracking the drums in May, a little bit after we get off the tour with Meshuggah. So
what a tour, man.
But I don't think it's going to come out really on time. So we could have a really bad curse on our hands or something. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, it's in the works. It'll just be a little bit later than usual. I think we kind of had so much success with this album that we wanted to juice it all the way and do as much touring on it as we could, and it afforded us to stay out a little bit longer, you know, this time around, which is cool. And yeah, yeah, but we're very excited about the new one, and I think you'll like it.
But it's to be fair, man. You've been putting out albums every 2 years consistently. I think you're allowed a break.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it. It's only a few months different, you know what I mean? And at this point, I think like we have so much material out there, like people are still catching up. It feels like, you know what I mean? It feels like you put out a record, then 2 years later they're onto it, you know what I mean? But you're already like moving on, and so
what would you say? Obviously you've mentioned that Nightbringers has kind of like brought you up to this next level. What have you kind of learned about yourself in that process?
I think it's songwriting, man. I think we just got better and learned a lot from writing this record, and the new one I think is further in that direction. It's more emotive and more creative and various. That was something we really wanted to do in the last few records, was have all different kinds of feels in the songs and different approaches, and to make a record that's hopefully exciting all the way through, in the world of short attention spans, So, but yeah, man, I feel like it's always a learning experience, and looking back at the album now, I still feel immensely proud. I feel like it's still, in a lot of ways, where we're still at 2 years later, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think that's a good thing. I feel like it's a good, representation, for sure.
Awesome. Well, here's to the next chapter. Yes. Thank you so much, dude.
Got it. Good to see you, man.